There's been a lot of like memes around Dante's having like really low win rate in Emerald. I think Spearshot is having like negative win rate in Emerald now, playing jungle without Pantheon. So this is very interesting. The most fascinating thing to me about so many streamers starting to do off-road, off-champ stuff is actually how many of them have poor win rates and lower MRs. I don't think this is surprising at all. I really go to show you that honing on just very specific stuff on XChamp goes a long way more in the game, understanding this is objectively true. And this is exactly what people do. Not in a way that you might think. This is not necessarily in a way where it's like, oh, you're only playing one champion, without it, you're terrible. Even beyond that, you're playing one role. You're playing one class of champion in that role. Because, for example, if you ban VelKoz or take away VelKoz, if I pick Xerath, if I pick Mel, if I pick Lux, if I pick Ziggs, if I pick Syndra, positioning is mostly the same. I can use so many of the pre-designed patterns that I have. So many of my intuitions apply very well into mage positioning. Whereas if I pick all of a sudden like Zed, the entire game is changed. There's so many different patterns. Now I'm supposed to be the aggressor. I'm supposed to control the side lane and tempo and create stuff like that. So I don't think it's a surprise at all that people are underperforming another, because I think there's a very good line here. It was a cool line of thinking. It really piggybacks off of my video about AD carries and the complexity of the lane and why AD carries are the worst players. And it is perfectly apt for this Dante's low win rate. The game is too complex to be grasped fully. Everyone hones in on something. Even pro players hone in on certain champions because they cannot possibly master them all. You cannot possibly be the best at everything. It's literally unattainable by humans because the game is too complex. So everybody hones in on something. Maybe just Faker and Nemesis. Nah, even if you take them, even Faker and Nemesis, like if you put me in a pro game as a VelKoz instead of them, I will outperform them like throughout majority of scenarios. Even if they very well might be better players at many other aspects. You just cannot beat specialization. Remember like in older days when you had writers who was like an astronomer, poet, agricultural guy. He's like doing literally everything at the same time, right? Because the world understanding was much more shallow. And he was a doctor in his spare time. He would do whatever the fuck, right? They would do everything. Da Vinci shit, you know? He would be polymaths. The ages of like people are multi-skilled. Nowadays, you can't do that. You want to be a physicist? You gotta go into the super in-depth specialization of physics. And you cannot be just a passerby physicist. It's impossible. You gotta devote 40 years of your life to achieve anything. If something is super complex like that, much like League of Legends, that's kind of how it has to be. Basically, our homes in to reduce the number of variables that I have to contend with. It's simple math when you think about it, even with the basic example of drafting. I really do mean extremely basic example. I'm gonna talk about like more complexities in a second. I made a mistake here in the calculation. I was lazy. I did like 20 squared, but it's actually 20 times 19 because you remove one with the possibility, so I corrected later. Anyway, let's assume that 20 champions are playable within a certain role, right? Which is a fairly reasonable assumption. So if there are 20 champions to play in a role, to play every matchup once, you will need 380 games. Just every matchup once, you will need 380 fucking games. That's fucking insane, dude. That's not even accounting for the differences in team comp, summoner spells, runes, item variants, because all of these can sway the lane into a different synergy. And now, let's say you play one matchup with one rune setup, and then you play it with another rune setup. Now you double the fucking matchups again. And guess what? By the time you play every single matchup once, you're by no means an expert on that matchup. Okay, let's talk about that first. You're not an expert after playing it once. Next time you see this matchup, enemy will play it really differently. And that might throw you off your game entirely. So that's different. And this is not even accounting to the movement and all of that bullshit. So it's actually crazy amount of variance here within the matchups. And you know what happens? By the time you play all of these matchups once and twice and you kind of start learning them, new patch, new season, new game. Like, you think the matchup is the same in 2016 and 2025? Not even fucking close. Okay, these matchups shift throughout years, and they're entirely different. So now all of your old knowledge has to be replaced by new knowledge, which means you have to play a crazy amount of games to keep re-updating your knowledge and re-examining these matchups. Okay, so that even puts more emphasis on playing like more condensed pack, which means you're much quicker at updating your knowledge, you're quicker at adapting, you're better at absorbing knowledge, but you're more in tune with the gameplay than others. How do you cheat these variables? The best way to cheat the game is to pick one champion always. So what happens? Instead of 400 possibilities, there are 19. Because your choice is simple. You pick one champ always, and 19 remain in ranked. So now you don't have to contend with the 380 fucking possibilities, but 19. Which means by the time these fuckers play these 380 possibility matchups once, you get to play yours 20 times each. So now you have 20 times more experience in the matchups than others. This is not accounting for the gameplay patterns. Okay, so like chess is simple. You do this, 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 and that's it, right? It's very fucking simple. But after like 5 moves, you're in the millions of possibilities. There's like 10 to the power of 126 possible chess scenarios, which is more than the particles in the visible universe. League of Legends is much more complex than chess. Not only because you have these pre-designed fucking drafting patterns, but also when you come to gameplay. If you imagine the gameplay in League of Legends as a grid of chess, and your movements represent like the chess turn-based movements, very soon you boom into infinite possibilities of gameplay. Now obviously there's like certain things where like the waves kind of constrict you in certain ways, so there's obviously not infinite. You can't just wander off the wave and go into the river on like level 1, right? It's generally not going to be a good strategy. There's infinite variables. Not all of them are like really good, but there are certain things that you can do to throw people off guard. And I use this draft analogy to simplify so you can understand the variables. But like when you think about the different variables and different patterns of gameplay between these champs, if I played like 20 times more, or likely like 200 times more matchups than somebody else, because I'm playing VelKoz extremely well, versus somebody who's just playing a bunch of everything, I will produce patterns that they're completely uncomfortable with, that they don't know how to deal with. And I will catch them off guard. I will bait them. I will bait these really good scenarios for me because I'm much more experienced in that. That happens in game. Like when I move right, shoot left, precast on the left, and then precast on the wave. Enemies have no fucking clue what's happening, but I'm just tapping into the primal instinct of trying to be safe, avoiding the diagonal rule. When they're close to me on the right side, they will be pivoting to the left side, but I already shot on the left side. But because of my shot on the left side, they're going to be more inclined to hide behind the wave, but I'm precasted accounting for that because it's a pre-designed pattern in my mind. And now all of a sudden they walked into my combo in the wave where I comboed them with the Q and the full combo. Boom, they're dead. Out of nowhere, right? That's kind of how it works. And that's true for every fucking champion in the game, for literally everything. And the game is just far too complex. So when you think about it, perfect AI player that doesn't have preferences, that doesn't lean on certain knowledge, it will beat everybody because they're unconstricted. But in the human realm, specialization is the name of the game. Like, humans need to specialize in order to be successful. Even pro players specialize to some degree because they play, certain pro players are known by playing control mages, certain pro players are known by playing like more assassins, like humanoid is playing like more assassin like Azir and whatever. All these players, they're super, like Power of Evil is known for his Orianna, you know, it was more control playstyle. A lot of these players are known for different things. And it's a very cool discussion, and I don't see discussed very often. And I think it's very important to tap into the possibilities and probabilities of League of Legends, which is absolutely mind-boggling numbers. And once you start looking at the game through that lens, it will become a lot more simple, and you will become a lot more humble, and you will develop humility in the fact where you will understand why your AD carry gets caught by this combo, because he played versus this combo once in his life, and he doesn't know that Nico and Kai'Sa have like level 3 burst potential and have better combo, you know, stuff like that. It really helps you develop humility. So yeah, Brenzalore, make a 50-hour video.